Hey, what's up? Welcome to Side Quest, the fourth panel, where I'm going to get into the behind the scenes, the making of, and fun stories that don't make it into the regular three panels of the comic each week. And so the best way to introduce the show is to jump right in. All right. Man, we're burning through these April ones. And if you guys like this, comment, like, share, and it might be something that I do every month, or maybe just, do a couple months together now that I'm kind of on a once a week schedule for the time being. So Quarantine Day 9, this is another one that is based on 100% truth. And there's actually two, I need to get Paul and his wife on here, eventually to tell the story. But there's two stories about this comic. One, it's a real story between me and my wife, sort of that idea of like, what are we going to do? We got all this time, even though we're working from home and actually have less time because you don't really leave the office. You know what I mean? You're in it, So it was like that naivete a little bit in the beginning of like, oh, we'll leave work and we're home. We save our drive time and all this. What are we going to do? And I made the joke that I'm going to start skateboarding again. And my wife's like, oh my God, you're supposed to be avoiding hospitals at all costs, and you're going to go do the most dangerous thing right now. You're almost 40. You haven't been on a board in 20 years, and you go skateboard. Like a joke, but kind of serious. It's one of those like, I'm not going to do this, but if you're cool with it, I'm going to do this. So we laughed, and of course I was like, no, I'm not going to skateboard, especially right now, and fall and break an ankle and then end up in the hospital, where they're dealing with a real crisis, and then some asshole that's almost 40 breaks his ankle because he's taking up skateboarding during a pandemic. Well, Paul and his wife go on a walk is the second story, and Paul's got a longboard. His wife gets on it, one foot on the longboard, one foot firmly on the ground, and then proceeds to do the splits pretty much and tweak her ankle. Thankfully, she didn't have to go to the hospital or anything, but it was one of those like, oh my God, you did the comic that like, so they're telling the story on our Zoom call, and I'm like, well, wait till you see Monday's comic or whenever this one published. It was April 13th. So yeah, we had done, I keep saying we, it's weird. I know. I worked on the comic so long with Paul. My wife helps me out a lot now. I put my friends in it constantly. So I don't think of it as an I comic. I kind of think of it as a we comic. So when you hear me say we, and then sometimes say I say I, it's not because I'm a crazy person, which I am a little bit. It's just because it's hard to break that cycle of, the comic. All right, this next one, so Quarantine Day 13. This is another real life story. Sound like a broken record. When we first started working from home, any chance that I wasn't distracting myself with something, I would kind of pace through the house. My anxiety was just kind of like, anyone, I'm sure everyone right now can relate. And I remember watching a bird, and it was just like, I'm going to start bird watching for a split second. And then sort of we laughed, and then this sort of comic kind of grew out of that, of just that whole idea of just like, it harkens back to the first one of just like we should all have enough shit to entertain ourselves with. You know what I mean? How many backlogs do we all have? And then all of a sudden, like, there's something though human about new. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do something new. I'm gonna pick up a new hobby. I'm gonna do something new. And we were in our house, and so the newest thing I could think of was looking at birds, and so that's where this kind of idea came from. And then the whole, like, the end of it is just like, do the stuff that you have, you know what I mean? Don't look for new. So day 15, this kind of plays into like two aspects of the comic. One, I already made this house for this one panel. I don't want to waste it, you know what I mean? So to kind of fit these two comics together was really good. So Jarvis continually to look out the window, and then it was kind of, I mean, it sounds lazy, but it's sort of like going back to the hand-drawn way where maybe I wouldn't have drawn Jarv looking out the window each time if I had to draw this house, just for him to say something. Maybe I would have a close up, draw the establishing shot, then bring him into the house or something like that. Where this, it's just like copy paste, and it keeps the same flow, and I get to use something I made 3 times. And also, the comic is we're not a political comic, but the first 5 comics we made, they had intention behind them. And one of them was like kind of a social commentary comic. And the whole intention is that if we ever say anything in the future that someone could say, "Oh, why are you being political?" we could always say, "Well, we were there. We did this in the beginning." You know what I mean? And not like we did a comic in 1919, Jesus Christ, did a comic in 2009 and then 10 years later do another one. But it sort of establishes that foundation of we're going to comment on stuff too. You know what I mean? And over the years we did. You know what I mean? There's times when something was just, we needed to say something in our own personal lives, and we bled it into the comic. There's been tons of times that we haven't said stuff just because it's hard, to, you don't always have to be funny, but sometimes it's hard to comment on things, and sometimes you don't know your place. But we wanted to have that opened up from the beginning, that we're going to say some shit sometimes that, is personal and can be political. So this was kind of about those early days of people just not taking what was happening serious. You know what I mean? And you could even say it's kind of happening again. For some reason, like older movies, we kind of, quote and stuff like that. A lot of these are things that me and my friends quote or just common. So kind of having this comic about, there's a very sad scene in Full Metal Jacket. So Full Metal Jacket's a great movie. It's a movie I saw way too young, and there's still scenes in that movie that stick with me today. If I watched it right now, there's a couple scenes that still make you get that like lump in your throat. And one of them is Private Pile eating the donut that he hides in his footlocker. And so that was kind of the impetus of this comic. I don't even know if I use that word right, but that was for this comic, of that whole idea of there's people that are not listening to what's going on, not taking it seriously, going out, possibly getting more infections spread around, and yet everyone else who's doing the right thing we're doing the push-ups, we're paying the consequences for this. Yeah, this was, kind of forgot that I did this one now going back to it, but it was kind of like I said earlier, it was on my mind, and sometimes, it might hit you with some shit. And then we jump right back into a real life story. Day 18 is about the 25-pound weight. So real early on, gyms are closed. And even when they open, we're like, I'm not going to go be around a bunch of people. And so we're looking into the house at anything we can do to work out. And we have a weight in the house. We have one 25-pound weight. And legitly, I own one 25-pound weight. And just like in the comic, I bought it when I was probably 20. And me and my good buddy, we're going to start. This is the weight that was going to start the whole series of weights I was going to own. And it clearly started and then stopped at the 25-pound weight. And so we weren't even using it as a weight in the sense of I'm going to use this to work out. It was the sense of, it's going to hold this thing down in the basement because it's heavy. You know what I mean? So I was using the weight as the physical being of being a weight, not, I'm going to work out. So we grabbed our one weight and we did some squats, some goblet squats, and some triceps and stuff like that one of the first weekends. And we both learned a lesson that 2 weeks of working from home and shambling around the house, and you go running outside and start doing a workout, even though you'd done it 2 weeks prior, your muscles are going to be a little different. And we both got hurt, you know. So we both tweaked some muscles that day and learned a valuable lesson. 1, 20 years ago, I should have bought more weights. And 2, when life changes, exercise accordingly. Board games have always been big in me and Dana, my wife. They've always been big to us. Me and my brother play a lot of board games. We like supporting board games and teaching our friends, these weird board games. And it's cool because 10, 15 years ago, when friends showed us Ticket to Ride and we started getting into that, it was weird because like board games are very traditional. You play Monopoly, you play this, you play the things that you played when you're kids, and you don't play anything else. And then we started finding these cool games that were like, you can't buy this in a store, you have to buy it online. You got to buy it from the people who make it, and we love it. You know what I mean? And we still do it now. And we're friends with some of the people at Deep Water Games and SourcePoint. And at Gen Con 2019, we picked up Welcome to Your New Home, or Welcome to for short. And the first night, it was a rocky start for a little bit. Because of course I go into it like, I'm the game guy. Give me the instruction book, beep, beep, beep. And then it's like, oh shit, what am I doing? And it's a very easy game to understand. And then it's one of those easy to learn, and then you got to master it. So we ended up watching a YouTube tutorial on it, and it clicked after watching that. Played like 3 games, loved it. And then for the next, till today, still, we're just telling people about it. It is a fun game. You can play it from 1 to 100 people. Like I said, easy to learn. Not hard to master, but great to master in the sense that you're going to play it one time and you're going to change something, and you're going to be like, oh, next time I'm going to do that. And then you're going to change something else, and you're going to learn something different, and you're going to start building, tactics. We like playing a game called Carcassonne, and we have a lot of expansions. We haven't done any of the expansions with Welcome to yet because we're still kind of honing our skills, which means I'm honing my skills because my wife crushes me at the game, which is awesome. Because a game when you can get... I'm not one of those people that have to win. I love playing games. But to have a game where you can enjoy it and lose is fantastic. And want to play again, that's a great game. So every time we play it, we have fun. We can create your town, have a cool name. And that's what this one was. These are real names that I had made. I had Junk Trunkston, Boobyville or Booby Grove, a very high, we talk about having some political comments and having high commentary, and Booby Grove is the name of my town. Now we get into the other highbrow part of the comic is Shartsville. And this comic is the premise that Jarv sharted during the game. I know if you've been reading the comic for a long time, there's a lot of... We were like blue and brown. Yeah. I'm just not even gonna... It pleased me so well. All right. Yeah, that's the type of humor. 10 years of dick, fart, and shit jokes. So, the third one is just another brilliant... And this was the whole idea of I really just wanted to promote Welcome to 3 times. And I had some funny comics to write, and even got a little box in the corner. Kind of made the game boards. Love this game. Just pick it up, buy it, play it. Don't shit your pants while you play it, though. Pick it up and buy it and play it. It's really good. A real quick thing I'm going to get back to. On day 18, you'll notice that Jarv starts to get a little gray. I don't think it's a thing that's going to stick around. The whole idea was that they're going to start changing throughout these quarantine comics. Paul's goatee actually starts to get bigger, and his hair kind of gets a little bit bigger. It's very minute with him. It's very high contrasting in Jarv's beard. Just like a quick little, brush stroke. You can really see the gray. And I'm glad I started it when I did, because it almost kind of lost. It was like if I waited too long, it would have been kind of weird. Like, oh wait, all of a sudden they're now kind of getting all haggard. But yeah, so if you look But yeah, if you look into like day 18 is like that first sign that they're starting to go get a little wild. The Welcome to comics also end April. Kind of came up on me quick. I didn't realize what this was kind of going to be, and that was cool. So I enjoyed that. If this is something that you like and you want to know more, if you want me to start talking about something different, let me know. And if you want to know technique and style, even in the old comics, if there's one that from the archives that you want me to talk about, hit me up. Like and subscribe. I want to get more content on SideQuest YouTube going. So, but if you like this, let me know. If there's a special comic you want me to talk about, let me know. If there's something about webcomics that you want to know, let me know. SideQuestComic.com. That's where you can find everything about the comic. We got our SideQuest comic on Instagram. We got a Facebook page, and now we're jumping into the YouTube.